Karyn Bryant for MMA H.E.A.T. I'm here with Frank Mir, who's facing Daniel Cormier at UFC on Fox 7. Everybody talks about Daniel Cormier, undefeated Daniel Cormier. What's he going to do? How do you feel about him as an opponent?
I think that he is very accomplished wrestler, and I think he trains at a great camp that's able to cultivate that already background at the AKA. Obviously they have Fitch and Velasquez and Barnett, or no, excuse me,
Luke Rockhold.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
And so I think that definitely he brings a lot of dangerous assets to the fight. I still think that that stepping in the UFC is going to be a step up for the competition that he's been doing in the Strike Force. And I think that's where I'll have an advantage at, is the fact I've been here for over 10 years and this is his debut.
Well, some would argue though that Josh Barnett is no slouch. Bigfoot Silva, no slouch.
No, obviously. I think he had great performances against them. But at the time, Bigfoot had, was still in the Strike Force and working his way up. And Barnett is, more on the way down. He was in the UFC and is now just in Strike Force, or was at the time.
Right. How are you feeling? One time we were working together and I went to give you a hug and you were like, oh. We know that you had some injuries over here. How are you feeling?
I'm actually feeling really good. Definitely approached it a lot more intelligently as far as training to try to prevent as many injuries as possible. Obviously, it's impossible not to get a little dinged up in practice, but addressing rehab is equally on a foot with the, as far as training hard, I think has been a much more intelligent approach,
Well, let's talk about the ground, too, because, with Daniel, obviously he's an amazing wrestler. You have very good jiu-jitsu, and people wonder what will happen if the fight goes to the ground. What do you think will happen?
Obviously, I feel that once the fight goes to the ground, it's in my favor. The wrestling, he can control the position and move around, but, in the end, the ability to finish the fight is in my, corner, in my abilities. If he makes a mistake, the fight's over with. I make the mistake, then he's just smothering me and grinding me, and the fight's not over with. He would have to try to go for a submission, which is outside wrestling, and now he's stepping into my world.
So, but you've been out of the cage for a little bit. Does that feel like? Does it feel like it's been that long to you?
Yeah, it has been a long time. It's almost been 11 months now. That's never a good thing. I would wish to fight more often. I wish I could make some kind of a witty statement on how it's a good thing. But it's one of those situations where you just make the best of it. Obviously it's not the end of the world to have a little bit of ring rust or to have a long layoff. But I'm not the first fighter to do so, and we just make the best of it.
So with Daniel Cormier, people talk about him coming to the UFC and what his trajectory could be. You could be a spoiler to that. But what do you think this fight means for you in terms of what you want to do still in the time that you're going to be fighting?
Well, I think the camp I did with Jackson's, I really just want to go out there and show that I've improved and that, I've improved my conditioning and my level of martial arts skill. And so, going out there and having a great performance is actually the most important thing to me. And, that's what I focus on. And I think focusing on that, then the victories and what can line up afterwards and title shots just kind of address themselves.
What was the experience like working on The Ultimate Fighter?
That was good. I got to hang out with Jones and a lot of the fighters, and it was very.
I know you've been there before, but now that you're.
Yeah, it was actually helping me re-inspire me again. I didn't have as much pressure on me this time, obviously, because I wasn't my name wasn't on the T-shirt.
Right.
So I kind of was, more in the backdrop as an advisor, and I got to enjoy working with the guys and trying to improve people more, not so much trying to, outsmart the other guy. And I wasn't fighting anybody on the other side, so it was a lot more laid back.
Anybody stand out to you as a keeper?
You know what? The whole show, I would do it injustice to say anybody. Everybody was talented. I mean, if you think about it, even Kelvin, who people had really not thought highly of, goes out and wins it. I mean, I still think very highly of Uriah Hall. I think he's going to have a great career. I think he just, a bad fight happens, And then, against somebody who's a very game opponent like Kelvin, who was ready to take it, you can't have those fights against guys that are that tough and determined.
Right. All right. Well, Frank, thanks for talking to us, and have a great fight. It's nice to see you back.
Thank you so much.